Why why OBS does this to me, I have no idea. So, I'm back. Anyways, I was saying happy Sunday to everyone. How are you doing? Yes, for some reason the software randomly just likes to change your mic settings. It'll just turn it to something else entirely. No reason. Just cause. So that's why all these years of doing this, I've gotten used to it, but today I forgot to check because I was in a hurry because I had just gotten done working out and showering and now I'm here. So, ah, but yes, I was going to say, happy Sunday to everyone. Plus, I like that you guys were already talking about how good this week's Andor was because it was freaking phenomenal. I'm not going to go, I have a feeling by the time we get to the end of the season, this will be, this is a good thing. I have a feeling this will be like the least liked arc in the season. So I just have this feeling each one's going to get even better. The EDM club mix from episode 3. Nice. Yeah, I don't know if anybody went and saw Sith in the theaters this weekend. I was tempted. I don't know. I still might. I mean, I know it's going to be around. It's not like it's going anywhere this week. So I'm kind of thinking I might sneak into a late afternoon, early evening showing sometime this week. Um, yeah, that end music was incredible though. But yeah, you talking about episode 3 reminded me of, yeah, Sith did come out this week. So wondering if any of you all are going to go this week. But wow, Kenny, saw it in the theater 20 years ago in a private screening with Skrillex behind you. That's nuts. Okay, no topping that one. Not for me. Um, Grevlin, interesting take on the 3 episodes this week. Kidding, and saving money for Thunderbolts. Yeah, I'm going to see that this week as well. Cannot wait. So excited. Between and having I don't know if I talked to you guys after I saw Sinners. What an incredible movie. Like that might be my favorite movie of the year so far. But yeah, Thunderbolts I'm super excited about. Okay, good to see you in there. But Grevlin, I want to kind of get back to you. Saru, yeah, I was not one of the cool kids gifted the whole season to binge before. If I had, you definitely have like every single episode would have a reaction and you'd have had a season review prior to. But no, I'm not that cool. Um, but no, I do want to get to Grevlin's comment about he had a hard time with this episode. I was talking to my parents earlier today, actually, and they had a hard time with it too. And I think it's a matter of if you are into the subtext of everything going on. Now, for me, the plot about Andor being, as we found out at the end, on Yavin, with those rebels and them squabbling between one another and warring against one another like children, that was the weakest part of this 3-episode arc to me. Every time they went to that, I just didn't care that much. Yeah, I obviously wanted Andor to get out, but of all the characters in this series, it's like Andor and Mon are the only 2 that can live, that have to live. So Yeah, I just, that storyline didn't grab me. I didn't hate it. It just happened. Um, and I get what the point of that storyline was. It was trying to show us that the rebellion at this time is still not a rebel alliance. It's still very tattered. It's in pieces. It's very, very um, cobbled together, and it is not working the way it should be as an oiled machine, or resistance in this case. So I understand that fully. But I just don't think that was the compelling storyline this season, or this season, these episodes. The two compelling storylines to me were the farm, which I thought that was great stuff there. To me, that just illustrated what it's like to live under Imperial rule, even in some place as remote as they were. And also then the Mon story I thought was just one of the best stories they've ever done. Saru, thank you so very much. It absolutely does make up for the Disney snub. I appreciate that. But I will get to your comments, but I just wanted to kind of almost address Saru so a little bit. And with the Mon story, it was all about subtext. It was all about how much it really goes into the speech Cassian gave at the beginning about sacrifice and what you're going to give. She was about her sacrificing her daughter's future, about her having to live with that. It was about her navigating this fake world of being rich and posh and happy when no one should be that happy under a regime like this, and it's all fake. Um, and it was also so much about how caged she is, just like how, just like the people on the farm planet, how little she can do without the Empire coming down on her, even though she's a senator, she's rich, and she still has to fear what the Empire is going to do to her, just like the people on the farm planet. I mean, there were so many parallels in this story. That's what I loved, and that's what I think a lot of people were drawn to, is the political intrigue of it all. This wasn't action packed. It wasn't about, executing a plan perfectly. It was about living under Imperial rule. I almost didn't say Imperial correctly, but whatever. Uh, Sabersmith, did they leave B2 on Mina Rao? Yes. I don't think we're going to see him again. I don't know. I don't think they can't go back. They cannot go back. Cassian maybe could, but Bix definitely can't, and neither can I can't think of the kid's name. I never remembered it last season, and I don't remember it now. Um, but they can't go back. Cassian maybe, but it would be an awful big risk. And quite frankly, if they leave him there, look how happy B was. Look at how happy B was when he was playing with those kids. Yeah, he's going to miss Cassian, but B's an old man. I mean, he is very much an old golden retriever in his last years. I kind of feel like we just let him, or gave him away to a farm. Yeah, he's living on that farm our parents always told us about. And Baronessa, yeah, a rebellion without direction is unworkable. Exactly. Okay, yeah, the My Pay storyline, or Maya Pay, forgot her name, Maya Pay, was the weakest. It is real to what happens to rebel groups, though. It all becomes purity contest. I agree. I do agree. And you can see me scrolling. Can you see me scroll on the screen? I hadn't paid attention. I think you. No, you can't. Okay. I was wondering if you could see where I am in the chat versus um, where the chat is showing. Anyway, yeah, I agree. Okay, it was definitely the weakest. I think that storyline would have been fine for an episode, but when it got stretched out to two, it just ran a little long. Wasn't bad. It just like I think it will be the weakest storyline the whole season though. And to Baroness's point, yes, the farm was poignant and timely. And funny enough, again, shot like a year or so ago. So, okay, I've seen some like in the plotline how Star Wars fans fight amongst themselves too. That's a fair assessment. That is an incredibly fair assessment because even the way they fought at the end to settle their rivalry was the most childish and silly thing. They were basically playing paper, rock, scissors to settle their grievance. Better than shooting each other. I'll give them that. I prefer them not killing each other since they're, on the same side. But it just showed the lack of maturity. And I think this is what they were going for. It showed the lack of maturity in the rebellion itself, how it still needed to grow up, which I guess still kind of applies to us Star Wars fans sometimes. Because we squabble about stupid shit. Um, the Mothma stuff was Game of Thrones level. Agreed. Kenny, I like that. But as a person who watched Rebels, it didn't really work for me that well. The stuff on Yavin probably worked better for people, or was more meaningful to those who watched Rebels. I don't know. I understand that viewpoint, but I don't know. Because as a Rebels fan, still didn't fully land for me. I think that's a storyline that just overstayed its welcome. You know, I think that would have been a great storyline for one episode, but stretching it over two, then the third episode, he's finally making his way back to the planet. I think if the first episode had ended with him getting to Yavin, and then the second episode was that storyline, that would have been a little bit better. But we spent a lot of time on that planet in the first episode too. So, whatever. It's still good. It just compared to the other plot lines, it was not even the Cyril and his mom storyline. Oh my goodness. But yeah, it just couldn't compare to the Mon Mothma or the Farm Planet storylines, or even the stuff we're finding out about. I forget the name of the world. Begins with a G. That planet, the G planet, the Spider Planet. Yeah, that plot line's. I'm afraid of what we're going to see happen to that planet by the next year, because this week will be the next year, and wherever we start, I don't think that planet is going to be in a good place. I'm missing so many comments. I'm just going to have to start picking. Gorman, I just saw Gorman pop up. Thank you. I'm just happy we have paper, rock, scissors in Star Wars. That's funny. Okay. TIE Avenger in live action was great. That thing, was it an Avenger? I thought it was like a TIE Advanced. Whatever it was never put into production. Because it looked, I think it was one of those, because we ended up getting the, why am I blank? Not the TIE, I wanted to call it the Vindicator. That's not Vindicator. Um, but I feel like this is the one that wasn't put into a production, not in full production, because I mean, honestly, look at how complicated it was. And it had multiple seats in it. Like, no, they're not gonna put multiple people in a TIE fighter. Are you kidding me? They're expendable. Why are you gonna take passengers in a TIE fighter? I think that was a prototype that was never gonna go to full production. Maybe an early version of the TIE Advance. And hearing the comments on B2, yeah, B was happy. I agree with Sabersmith. B was so happy. He loved being there. You could tell he had never been that happy in a long time. He was running around playing with kids. Are you kidding me? That is the best outcome for B. Nice, Saru. When it rains, it falls on everyone, rich and poor. Rains equal the Empire's wrath. That's very good. Very good. Like seeing that. Oh, and Baronessa, you like seeing the chat and the screen. Yeah, thank you. I've tried a couple ways to get that to work and I finally got it going. So I'm very happy about that, that we can actually see ourselves talking to each other now. And also, yeah, Dedra really cares, maybe even loves Cyril. Good for them. I think, and I just saw, I think it was Kay that said, is she capable of it? I think it's as much love as either of them is capable of. Both having had such strange upbringings. She grew up in an imperial orphanage, which I have to imagine was just indoctrination through and through. And that's all I can imagine is you're just training to be an imperial from birth, or at least once you enter the orphanage. And with Cyril, within his mom, and that strange relationship, I don't know that the two of them know what healthy love is. But I do agree, it's kind of nice to see them together in a strange way, but it is still incredibly creepy and unnerving. Because neither of them are particularly good people, but it does feel more like a misguided evil than an intentional one, maybe, for those two. Oh, breaking that would take weeks to break down. Those two, yikes. I want to see them do a Rorschach test. Uh oh, Sabersmith, talking about the visuals in Mon's outfit. The costuming. The costuming this week was incredible. I cannot wait for all the cosplay that's going to emerge from that wedding. Dear God, those clothes were just stunning. That reminds me of when episode 1 came out, and yes, there was like half the fandom screaming about how bad it was, but everybody was united in one thing, and that was how beautiful those costumes were. And this really reminded me of that, how Star Wars in their costumes, when they go regal, wow, they are beautiful. Okay, did I catch? Oh, did we catch the Rebels cameo? Um, there's an she has an aide or something like that. that he's in Rebels. He's one of the people that helped smuggle her away, isn't it? I watched an Easter egg video that talked about that. I would not have caught it otherwise. Otherwise, I think I caught most Easter eggs. Um, okay, so it was the Avenger. Gotcha. And hey, Lisa, just saw you in there. Oh, really, Kenny? It was the Avenger sound engine sound was straight out of the video game. That's awesome. Um, that also used a lot of the classic tie sounds that we heard in the original trilogy, which just melted my nerd heart. I, I like that, Kitty. I feel weird rooting for Dedra when she told off Cyril's mom, but that shot of Cyril face down having anxious exhaustion on the bed was just perfectly timed. And it was ad-libbed, by the way. I just watched an interview with them, and it's so funny. That scene, they didn't have anything planned for that scene. It was Cyril goes to the other room, and they were going to cut to him. But in talking to the director, they were like, well, what do you want to do in this room? Like, just going back and forth. Like, okay. And he's like, and he came up with, no, Cyril's going to lie down on the bed just exhausted. And there we have gold. That scene will live in my head rent free for the rest of my life. Crimson, anybody else raving during the Gendrilla wedding? I I want that song for one of my playlists. I really need it in a playlist. I never thought I'd see Mon get her boogie on, but it was so sad. That's what really grabbed me about that scene, was seeing Mon so broken, because she was in almost as much pain or just as much as Cassian's group that were leaving, because we were cutting between the two. She was in just as much pain as they were. She was about to lose her best friend, and she married off her daughter to a gangster, something she never, absolutely never wanted to do. She never even wanted to put her through that tradition. And she was miserable. She was depressed, and she was just getting drunk and letting it out in a different way. But to me, it's like, make no mistake, she could have just as easily been sitting in that TIE fighter with the rest of them with those solemn faces. She just chose to vent it in a different way. Yeah, Kenny, that's a good point. Cyril may be in between a rock and a hard place during that dinner. Cyril has chosen a mate that is just as dominating as his own mother. I think he knows that, and I think seeing them collaborate was oddly more scary than seeing them war against each other for him. Um, okay, on the Imperial thing, that actually, we don't know how old she was when she went into the orphanage. Her parents were killed and she was raised in an orphanage. So she could have been 10 years old. when she went into the orphanage and lived there for another 8 years easily, and still would consider herself raised in an orphanage. Is how much do you even remember before 10 years old anyway? She spent her formative years in the orphanage, is the way I took it. Or, I mean, Empire's been around for 15 years now, so 15 years ago, yeah. Or heck, she could have even started in a New Republic orphanage, which transitioned into Imperial. Yeah, Disco Ball Droid for the win. Loved that. I almost forgot to mention that thing. That was only Star Wars. Only Star Wars. That was fantastic. I didn't realize how far behind I was till I started scrolling. I need to start skipping. I don't want to skip anybody's comments, but Baroness, I think Gorman Massacre is 2 BBY, right? So the third story arc. Yeah, that sounds right. That sounds right. I just hope we get Mon's speech about Gorman, her speech to the Senate, that is her more or less resignation. Um, I hope we get that in live action. I'd love to see that in live action. Mon got straight blasted. Uh, oh, it's actually called Brasso or Brazo. The song at the end. That's wow. I'm gonna have to look for that. Oh, talking about the daughter now. I wish you were drunk. Every time I want to like Lita, she does something that tells me she will never appreciate her mother. Baronessa, yes, Brazo, real one, using his last breath to save people that helped them by throwing accusations so the Imperials would not do anything to them. Yeah, Brazo, that guy was awesome. That guy was just a rock. You know, you could tell from the first episode we saw him in, which was the first episode, that he was a good dude. And he definitely won my heart over when he chained a shuttle to construction equipment on Ferrix. There was no looking back after that. That guy was awesome. That guy was, as you said, a real one. Oh, man. There's an hour-long mix of that on the Disney Channel. That's hilarious. I'm looking at the Dami Mommy stuff. That's wow. That out of context. I'm really glad the chat's on screen now because otherwise sounds like I just Googled something I really shouldn't. Oh, Kenny, yeah, last season stated that Perrin didn't approve of the arranged marriages either, but that he's way more likely to go along than to get along. Yeah, she's tired of his lack of principle. But did you also catch that the marriage is set up to be exactly Mon and Perrin all over again? Because Lita, it's Lita, isn't it? Not Leda, or either way. Lita is walking all over her betrothed, and the two fathers are talking about, oh, she's going to walk all over him if he doesn't stand up to her, blah, blah, blah. Mon wears the pants. Even though Perrin constantly subverts her power, you know who runs that household. Oh, there's outright said she was 3. Dedra was 3. So in that case, then let's just say she's 30, just for sake. So that'd be 27 years ago. So 12 years in, basically roughly 12 years in a New Republic institution, which then converted into Imperial. And that's presuming she's supposed to be 30. You've named the speaker droid DJ Paul 13. That's hilarious. Um, okay, I wasn't ready to let Brazo go yet. I knew with this episode we had to lose somebody. With this episode, there was we had too many characters still tied to Cassian. And like I was saying in my video this week, I do fear that we are going to lose uh, pretty much someone every week going forward. Because we've got to get to the point where we've got a Cassian who is extremely hard, who is used to killing and used to losing people. And we aren't there yet because he was barely holding it together at the end, losing Brasso. And if we lose Bix, I'm going to be a freaking mess. But I think we will. I absolutely think we will. Kenny, the scene with Leda in tears and Mon trying to connect with her in the ballroom was heartbreaking. Yeah, they both wanted to connect with each other but didn't know how. I feel like Mon is a prisoner of her own image. That not only has Perrin obviously poisoned the daughter, he really has. But because she puts on these fronts, uh, these for political reasons and also for the rebellion, but for political reasons, she has to have this image, this front all the time, and the daughter has never understood what that is. And now Mon's, I think part of what's killing Mon is she's realized that her daughter's never really known her. She's known the image. And so when they have these tender moments, the daughter doesn't believe her and doesn't know how to react. Hoping they would put him in back to, yeah. Brasso was gone. He was already gone. It was so, which I didn't even realize he was down. I think we weren't supposed to know, but Parent is 100% a stereotypical wine mom, but a dude. That's hysterical. Okay, you think Bix will be the last to go? Um, oh yeah, and Will. I forgot about that. That's his name, Will Willman. Um, yeah, I think he just has to lose everyone, and that. Whew, after this week, I don't know if I can handle that. Are they trying to steal us all to get us all prepared for losing everybody? Grevlin, yeah, that's exactly what I'm getting at, Grevlin. That when we first saw him in Rogue One, he drops a guy without hesitation. We are not there yet. Cassian's a true believer. He is. We've gotten that far, but he is not at a point where I think he could just kill somebody in cold blood. That wasn't an Imperial. Now, if you're an Imperial, I think that may differ. But yeah, I don't think he could kill another spy or an agent like he does in Rogue One. Hey, Zach. Life is better when more right when there's Star Wars going on. I agree. I agree. Even though, we had Daredevil Born Again, which I absolutely loved, something feels right with the world having Star Wars on TV right now. Or if it was hey, I was just about to say, or in the theaters, but hey, we actually have Star Wars in the theaters right now, too. Not new, but it is in theaters. Lisa, I think we'll lose one of the three each week. Bix, Will, and Luthen. Yeah. And honestly, if we're gonna do it, I think next time it'll be Will. The arc after that it'll be Bix, and then the final arc it'll be Luthen. Oh, Kenny, yeah, Mon seems like she's way closer to Vel than her daughter because Vel knows what Mon has to go or what has to do to protect the rebellion, and is able to connect with her. Yeah, because I mean, Mon's probably the one. I would like to know if Vel is the one that got recruited by Luthen, or if because I wonder if Vel got recruited and she brought in Mon, or if Luthen went to Mon and Mon brought in Vel. Like, which came first? Was it Vel first or was it Mon? Because I feel like once he had one, he knew he could get the other. And I could see him absolutely go after Vel, knowing she'd be a good asset, and she would be a means to an end to get to Mon. I would really like to know how that worked. Okay, Perrin's biggest priority is fun. He's too carefree and resents Mon for not being more like him, though he does care for her. Moderately. I would say he moderately cares for Mon. I think he cares for Mon in a friend, definitely a friend way, not in a husband and wife way. Um, and honestly, his priority being fun makes him what, and intentionally so. Show is written this way. He represents everything wrong with the elites during the Empire. As long as they're fat and happy, they don't care what's going on with the rest of the galaxy. And Mon can't stand the fact that Perrin just doesn't care, and he can't stand the fact that she cares so much. It doesn't affect us. Let's just party. Which is honestly some of the worst, um, or the worst parts of society, really. Apathy is just as evil as the actual imperial rule in this case. Uh, that's a good point, Kenny. Cass is a true believer, but right now he subscribes to Nemec's philosophy. He wants to be a leader. He wants to encourage and rally. He doesn't have Luthen's cynicism yet. I agree. I agree fully on that. I love the idea that he has obviously read Nemec's manifesto and taken it to heart. Because that speech at the beginning, that speech to that scared tech, it was amazing. It's what I wanted to see from Cassian last season. But we weren't there yet. But it was that thing that I was like, oh, you need to start believing Cassian. Come on, that sort of thing. Rooting for him to get to that belief. So seeing it manifest fully at the beginning of the season was so rewarding. And I think that's also due to Marva. And by the way, loved that they had a picture of her hanging up in their home on the farm. That was fantastic. But I think that she really had an impact on Cassian at the end. Because if you watch last season, he was so against her staying. She wanted to join the rebellion in some way, or at least, help with the rebellion in some way. And even in her final words, she did. And then Cassian has to watch his home rebel. And so I think all of that impacted him so profoundly. And then once again, you've got the Empire who is not only clamping down on his home, is torturing his friends. And that last straw finally pushed him. It's something they talked about in the heist episodes, where what is it that pushed you into the rebellion? What was that last straw? And that entire last episode for Andor was that last straw. So to see this season, yeah, he's fully bought into Nemec's manifesto and ideals. It was just so rewarding. Um, Saru, will director Krennic find out about Mon's family and harm them pursuing Mon? I don't think Krennic will be the one to go after her. I think that would be more likely Dedra or is it Pentagast? Pentagast. I think it would be more like the ISB itself rather than Krennic's too big. He's focused on the Death Star. He doesn't have time for politics. What Mon's doing doesn't affect the Death Star, so he doesn't care. He's laser focused on that one thing. But the ISB will come for her. It'll definitely come for her family. Perrin will possibly be shot. I'm not even kidding. There's very big potential this series, or at least we get to the end of Mon's storyline, and Perrin and her daughter are dead. Or at the very least in prison. But more likely dead. Truly cementing how evil the Empire is. Because they have nothing to do with what Mon's doing. But they wouldn't care. They would need scapegoats. They would need to punish somebody if Mon gets away. And we all know she does. So as much as I think Perrin is a douche, I do fear for him because he's not evil. He's just very misguided. And poor Lita she's too young to know what's really going on in the galaxy anyway. At this point. I mean, by the time we get to the end, she'll be 17, 18, somewhere in there. So she'll be, a young adult. So she might understand a bit more. That'll be curious if we check in on her as time goes on too, to see if she or how she matures. And will Vel survive? I don't think so. I think Mon, just like Cassian, will lose everyone. I think pretty much every character we've met, except for those that live to Rogue One and further, I think they're all gone. I don't see them making it. And it would explain, look at how morose, how heavy her shoulders were in Return of the Jedi. If we see a Mon at the end of this series who's lost everything, that would absolutely explain how quiet and discontent she was in Jedi. Kenny, yes. Luthen and Mothin, and Mothin. Luthen and Mon have ties to real people. Yeah, I saw something about that pop up, that they are very intentionally drawing from real life figures throughout history who've stood up to fascism or been involved in fascism. And a lot of our characters are drawing inspiration from that. I want to look more into that, because that sounds fascinating. But I kind of want to wait until after the series is done, because because whatever happens in real life to some of these people, if I don't already know it, could give us an idea of what their story outcome could be. And I don't want to know too much. We're already speculating a lot here, as we always do, and it's so much fun. I'm afraid I'll actually have too much knowledge and start figuring it out. Kay, I don't know what you mean by Stekken is Imperial. Yeah, Saru, exactly. We know why Mon always had that weary, scared look of quiet dignity in all her depictions. And going to something I saw somebody mention, I think it might have been Kenny. I can't find it now, but somebody said probably Mon first and then Vel being brought into Luthen's orbit. That would make sense too, because I know it's not canon, but I think all of us know, or most of us know at this point, there is that deleted scene from Revenge of the Sith, which I really wish had been included, of many of the senators meeting, including Mon Mothma, including Bail Organa, regarding the overreach of the new empire. And that was going to be the, basically impetus of the rebellion. So if that is accurate, if some version of that still happened, or that in itself is canon, it just didn't appear in the movie, then yeah, she would have already been in a position to be looking to, or she would have been in a position that Luthen wanted to reach out to her. He would have found out about her misgivings and reached out to her earlier than he would have Vel. So that math adds up. Oh, Baroness, I don't think their family will die. I think they will be Imperial loyalists, which is worse. Um, that's the only other way it can go. It's either the Empire uses them as examples, or they make them swear loyalty to the Empire and denounce her. It's going to depend on Palpatine's mood that day. I just don't know if having them swear loyalty to the Empire will be as impactful as having them killed for treason, since they can't kill Mon. Because one of those two saves way more face. If you kill the family and say, they were traitors too. We didn't get Mon Mothma, but we got her family. Victory. That one plays different in the news than, Mon Mothma got away, but her family has sworn loyalty. It's like one clamps the boot down, the other one is just propaganda. Yeah. Palps likes the boot. But he has done the other. So let's put it this way, there is nothing good for them in the future, I have a feeling. Even if they become loyalists, they're not going to have a good life. Oh, Zach, I was asking about that earlier. You would see Revenge today. Older I get, the more heroic Obi-Wan becomes a role model. Yeah. Yeah. Just, yeah. He is such, what a wonderful character in Star Wars. I know it goes without saying, but come on. And that Sith, while it took its lumps, man, it holds up. Oh, the Imperial officer. That's right. Well, I thought that was just a funny nod to the fact that Luthen's always working. It was just giving us a glimpse of how Luthen operates. I didn't think that was leading to anything specific. It could, but I thought it was more about showing us, even when Luthen is working, he is working. Even he was going to take advantage of this position at Mon's palace, or at Mon's daughter's wedding, to still get information where he could. Even though, as he said when he got there, and I believe him, he was brought there due to his day job. He wasn't there for the rebellion. But it didn't mean he wasn't still going to work for the rebellion while he was there if he could. Edna, I show you the stone in my hand, you miss the knife at your throat. Um, that also, that line, by the way, this week from Luthen about to Mon, when she says, I don't know what you're talking about. And he just cuttingly says, how nice for you. I really felt like that was him telling her, stop being so naive. Stop putting blinders on. Wake up. You're too far involved now to act like that. I really think it was a scolding. And in a sense, she needed it because Mon needs to understand and stop pretending she doesn't know what the rebellion's doing. And I think we're seeing her grow into that leader as well throughout this. Like we're watching Cassian become that hardened spy that we'll see in Rogue One. Meanwhile, we're going to watch Mon become that tragic leader that we see in Return of the Jedi. And I say tragic in the sense of she has the weight of the galaxy on her shoulders. Talking to Luthen, yeah. What harm would that be to tell it to an antique store owner? He's got this perfect cover, which I love. He just has to sell things to rich people and talk to them. What a cover. Um, Luthen is easily my favorite character. Yeah, he's pretty great. Why is I feel like my light shifted. I pretty much don't need any light today. And yeah, every time I move. Um, huh. Who else is going to watch Rogue One immediately after the season finale? I don't know if I'll watch it immediately after since it'll be like 1 a.m. But the next day, absolutely. In fact, actually, my goal is to rewatch the entirety of the series. Sorry, my hair was wet, so I'm messing with it. I'm hoping to rewatch the whole series after it's over, and binge it to Rogue One. Probably not in a day because that'd be like 24 episodes, but maybe over an entire weekend and then finish it out with Rogue One. That'd be incredible. Huh. Kenny, I like that. Yeah, never stop working. Yeah, you're even when you're off work, you're not fully off work. And that was Luthen in that scene. He is so great. Yeah, Grevlin Luthen is easily my favorite character. I fully understand that, Grevlin. I really do. Ha! Kenny, Grevlin is Luthen is Garrick from DS9. That's sans the whimsy. That's so he's Garrick during the occupation, not after. Oh, well, we get a mention of Garm Bel Iblis. Good question. I'm waiting for Bale to show up. Bale Organa. Like there are a lot of prominent figures we could run into before the end of this series, like Bale. I mean, heck, even a young Leia is running around out there. We're only 4 years away as of this last week from A New Hope. We've got Bale. We've got Admiral Akbar. We've got who I don't know if he's an admiral right now. Maybe he's captain. Don't know. But Akbar's out there. You've got oh my God. Uh Palpatine's actually that takes me to something. Do you guys think we'll ever see Palpatine I'm wondering if we will, or at least any of his aides. Like, I'm trying to think of his name. The blue and the horns. As soon as you say it, I'm going to remember it. But yeah, if we see Palps, and I just saw you say, okay, you don't think we will. Sly Moore Masamita. Thank you. Masamita is who I was thinking of. Um, or Mazamita. Maz or Sly Moore are the two I could see show up in some capacity. Because we also have Vader out here too. So I feel, and I don't mean in a really prominent way. I don't mean in a, oh, there's an entire episode focused on this. Almost like how Krennic was in this episode. Or in this trilogy of episodes. He showed up for one scene, and that was it. But it was such a prominent scene. It was setting the stage for something very drastic to come. I do wonder if we will get someone like that to show up again before the series is out. Someone we know. Obviously, Krennic's going to show back up, but I just wonder if anyone else will too. Heck, even they're going to dig up the ghost of Tarkin again. It's hard to say. Uh, Kenny, I think there's a solid chance we'll see Bale and Akbar once they get to Yavin. I kind of think we will see Bale before then. Because I feel like we could really see him. Akbar, yeah, I could see Akbar at Yavin. But Bale, I feel like that he and Mon had strong enough political ties that it wouldn't be out of the ordinary for them to be hanging out. So I wouldn't put it past them to have him show up at her we'll call it a penthouse because I was about to call her an apartment. Her penthouse on Coruscant. Kenny, yeah, I saw that too. Diego and Tony Gilroy have both said if you watch Rogue One after seeing this, it will play much differently now, which I'm looking forward to. I think what they're referencing mainly is you'll understand Cassian. You'll understand his motivations and the things he did and the things he didn't do. Um, okay, I just see people talking about Bale now. What was going on? How would I feel if Smits was recast? Bad. That bad. He was just in Obi-Wan, which is set earlier than this. Bale's the exact right age he should be. Almost. Maybe a little older at this point. To show up. So yeah, I would not like that at all. There would be no reason to recast him. You don't need a younger version because he's the right age. Just like Ewan was the right age in Obi-Wan, Jimmy is the right age now for Andor. Yeah, that'd be. I saw your comment too there, Edna. That and yours too there, Kenny. He doesn't even need just for men. He'd be going gray. He is the right age. It's 20 years later in life, and it's 20 years later in the show. We don't need to do anything. He's fine. Um, Kenny, I do like. I'm curious. We'll see young Leia again. She and Leda would be the same age. Yeah, they would be around the same age exactly right now because I think Leia was supposed to be 13 last year, so she'd be around 14, 15 now, and that's exactly how old Leia would be. Which would explain, oh, oh no, we're about to go dark. Mon's affinity for Leia would stem from her daughter that she lost during the Imperial reign. Oh, that would make sense. It would make a lot of sense. So I don't know that we would see a 16 or 15, 16-year-old Leia, but oh, that hurt. That hurt just thinking that. Anyways, there were okay, going back to the Bale thing, it sounds like people were guessing Bale got recast. I bet it's if a legacy character that got recast, probably somebody like Tarkin. I, um, I could see them do that. I mean, we already had an actor play Tarkin in episode 3. It was kind of silly that they in Rogue One decided to bring somebody else or to revive him through CG when he'd already been recast. Um, but yeah, I couldn't see them recast Jimmy Smith. So that would be crazy. Okay, yeah, there are a lot of parallels between the two Leia and Lita. Not to mention the names that are extraordinarily similar. That when you look at them next to each other, it feels like something a writer would do. Yeah, and the daughter of one of Mon's closest friends and allies in the Republic. Yeah, yeah. Well, we don't know, Saru. We don't know if she loses her whole family. It's just a guess at this point. But I mean, if you consult a magic 8 ball, it's probably going to say outlook not so good. I don't see a lot of people walking. A lot of the people we've met leaving this series alive. Like I really think Vel's days are numbered. I think anyone that has ties to Luthen is just absolutely on the chopping block. Um, if I couldn't get a certain actor, but they were integral to the plot, what would I do? Rewrite the plot. There would be no reason you had to use Bale. Heck, swap out his wife. Um, we barely know her. It you wouldn't need to use it, that's always such a weird crutch. Oh, we had to recast because it wouldn't work. Well, yeah, if you're making a Superman movie and you have to recast Superman, I get it. But for something like this, there should be no reason to, especially when it's a character you're bringing in, not a character that already fully exists in the plot, like Andor, like Mon, like Luthen. You can't lose those characters. Those are integral to the story that's being told. Bale is not integral to the story being told. Whatever you're writing, you can rewrite. So yeah, I would not recast someone like Bale just because Jimmy Smits wasn't available. It's like recasting Ewan because you couldn't get because he wasn't available. It's like, no. I'm a very big proponent of actually recasting. I've said that a million times on here that recast Luke, recast Leia, recast Han. I don't care. I consider that trilogy holy, but for the love of God, if you want to use them, stop using this stupid technology that doesn't completely convince anyone and it always throws people off, and just have an actor come in and do it. Because we'll accept an actor. Look at the Star Trek franchise. They've recast all their people at this point. Well, not all, but a lot of their people at this point, and their fans are fine with it, me included. But to do it just because an actor wasn't available, that to me is silly. Either you need to push the schedule till they are available, or you just need to rewrite it. Um, Through Cinta will make it. Cinta, I was so surprised to see Cinta. I completely forgot about Cinta until this episode. That was a shock. Well, I didn't completely forget because Vel had mentioned her, but I didn't expect to see her when we did. that was that was a shock. Ooh. Oh, General Draven. Oh yeah, we'll have to meet him soon. And I really think, I really hope we get K2 soon. I really hope it's this second arc, like you're saying. I really want K2 throughout this season because those two had a very, well, not only they have a great dynamic and K2 is awesome, but they felt like they had history. So I'd want them to have spent at least 3 years together before the end. Uh, Zach, that's a good question. I wonder after Andor when Star Wars will make another prestige series type TV show. Um, Hopefully sooner rather than later. If this show continues to get all the flowers and it continues to get, from both critics and fans, and it stays popular and well watched, I'm hoping this tells those at Lucasfilm, because we are at the point where Kathleen, the newest rumor is that she may be leaving in August. It's sometime this year. We know that. Um, Hopefully, those at Lucasfilm will see this success on all fronts because the fans are happy, the critics are happy, and if it's doing well in the ratings, hopefully they will understand we need more shows like this. Tailor to your audience, tailor to the adults. You don't always just have to go after the kids and adults. Star Wars doesn't always have to be family. And I think that's one of the many things that I felt like was wrong with the Acolyte. I think that was one of the biggest. They tried to make a show that had a very serious tone still have the Star Wars silliness, and when it really should have had more of an Andor tone to it, or a true detective tone. But I'm not going to relitigate that show. Dear God, no. Um, Back to your questions and comments. Uh, Oh yeah, Kenny Vell's silent realization that her girlfriend is about to murder her favorite cousin's childhood sweetheart. Yeah, yeah. Vel knew. I mean, there was no doubt in her mind what was about to happen. But also, same for Mon. At that point, Mon knew, and she didn't stop it either because she knew she couldn't. I mean, rephrasing that, she knew she shouldn't. Ooh, and how long is Vel willing to be put second in Senta's life? Ooh. Senta's someone who will always put the rebellion first. Those that's something you just have to understand if you're in a situation like that. Those I don't see those two ever getting past that one. Kenny, it's so wild. My favorite projects have been Andor and Skeleton Crew, and they couldn't be more different from each other. But they're also very different from standard Star Wars. Skeleton Crew was Amblin, and it really was. It was a throwback to E.T. and Goonies and stuff like that. And Andor is a political thriller. It's when they go after these genres that I think it sticks better. A lot of shows have been chasing the Mandalorian type vibe. Ahsoka has, but with a bit more samurai to it. Uh, Book of Boba Fett tried to. Obi-Wan did a bit. I think Obi-Wan should have hewed more to. I don't know. There is still something off about the tone of Obi-Wan. I haven't quite put my finger on. I actually really enjoyed the series. I need to rewatch it too. Um, but there was something in there tonally that I was always like, I felt like there was something that needed tweaked. Um, but yeah, I feel like when they find these creative people that have a real vision, that's when the shows excel. And Skeleton Crew and this both feel like they had real vision behind them. Mon masking her despair with dancing and abandon is heartbreaking and pure genius. It is. It is. It it is one of the saddest scenes in Star Wars if you know what you're looking at. Zach, Ahsoka season 2 for the win. That's my most anticipated Star Wars project at the moment. Maul show is next. Jedi 3 also, but who knows when that will release. Yeah, Ahsoka season 2, definitely looking forward to that. That's so high on my list. And Maul, um, I always hoped, didn't think we'd get it, or I wasn't sure we'd ever get it. I shouldn't say I didn't think. I wasn't sure if we'd ever get it, but it really felt like Maul's story wasn't done. There was still so much we hadn't covered. So I'm thrilled we're getting that series. Oh, yeah, and Tales on May 4th. Right, okay. That's great. We still have a lot of Star Wars coming, and I'm very happy about that. Um, Kenny, don't half ass everything, whole ass one thing. I love that. Episode 3 will win an Emmy for that dance. Too funny. All right. On that note, I am going to. Oh, wait. Oh, no. Baronessa, before I was about to wrap up, but you brought up something. To quote Samuel L. Jackson in Murder in the First, I'm glad he's dead and I hope he rots in hell. Um, Never thought Star Wars would go there. But if a series was going to do it, it was going to be this one. And I actually just I watched an interview with her about this too, and how I don't know how to say her name. It's Adria, I think. Um, she was talking about how she felt a responsibility for that scene, um, and how it was represented and such. And Kay, I agree. I've seen a lot of people say they're glad they actually used the word itself. I think they needed to, because they needed to make a statement and needed to make sure people didn't sit here and argue, well, oh, he wasn't going to do it. He was just being a jerk. No, the word was said. Now there's no arguing it. That's what was happening. The best science fiction, we all know this, approaches real world issues and situations. I have never hated a character that's only been in what, one, two episodes more than that guy. Ooh. I want to see what you guys are saying. If they're, yeah, Kenny, I like that. If they're going to create a full picture of the depravity of the Empire, it was necessary. Yes. Yes. Because, like I was saying in my video this week, it shows how people and women, especially the Empire, is sexist as hell. It shows how everyone not in uniform is a thing. It's their property to be had. And it's sickening. That's how regimes like this work. Okay, there are people arguing the Empire would never do such a thing. What? They kill children. You think this is above them? Yeah, it's a power dynamics, okay? Power dynamics. All about power. It's all the Empire ever wants. And that is just another version of asserting it. Or taking it. Saru, adult show, adult consequences. I'm just proud of them for not backing away from it. For actually doing it. Or no, not doing it, thank God. But committing to it. Yeah, Kenny, the show has done such a fantastic job reinforcing just how awful and terrifying the Empire is. Yes, it's it's this machine that is just steamrolling over everyone that isn't inside the machine. Yeah, Baroness Dedra is the only female officer on the ISB. That tells you something. Thrawn is the only alien in the Imperial Navy, etc. I just saw your parental controls, Kay. That's exactly right. Um, But yeah, okay, there might be one other ISB officer. I don't remember seeing one because they made a point of it last season to say having her at the table was a very big deal because a person like her is usually not afforded these opportunities. So I don't remember seeing another female. I thought that was the whole point of last season. She is the only female there. She grew up in an orphanage. They should love that. That shouldn't be anything to do with her past. They raised her. that that should be a win. That shouldn't be something from her past they're talking about as though it's bad. Anyway, but even if there is one other person in the ISB that's a woman that is not exactly a feminist majority happening right now, the Empire is entirely sexist and it's entirely speciesist. It's incredibly racist. It is for white males. Always has been. Mostly. They've got some diversity in there now, I guess. But it is definitely a boys' club. And humans. Human male. That's what they want. Yeah, it's also classist. Yeah, unless you're in the Empire, you're worth nothing to them. That is just it. You either are in the Empire or you support the Empire. Either way, and by supporting, I mean like the rich people. Those they kind of care about a little bit, and that's it. But yeah, there's a reason you don't see female troopers. There's a reason you don't see female officers. We've seen none since Andor started. Except Dedra. Maybe one in the background somewhere. But no prominent ones, that's for sure. I was watching very closely at the during the heist not that long ago, and every single person was male. The Vel and Sintra could not have dressed up as officers, and they did not, because there were no females on staff at either base. Or at least that was the implication. So, oh, Kenny, Predator Badlands trailer. I can talk about that real quick. Awesome. Looked awesome. There, that's me talking about the Predator Badlands trailer. Looks awesome. It really does. Looks very cool. And I love the alien reference that was made. So really stoked for that. But yeah, I think I will wrap it up there now that we've covered the most sensitive topic that I'm very, saying I'm happy about it, I guess is not the right term. I am just proud of them for not backing away from it. That this show actually had the nerve that they didn't flinch when so easily they could have. But love it. Love it. So anyways, I will call it there. Thank you all so much. It's been a wonderful chat today. I've absolutely loved this. We'll be back next week talking about, obviously the next arc. I will be posting my thoughts on it much sooner than I did this week. So I'll get that up probably probably Wednesday morning. So look out for that. My goal is Wednesday morning. So once you've seen the episode, you'll have that to watch, and then we'll have the chat on the weekend. All right. Have a good rest of your weekend. I hope whatever you get to, it's awesome. And I will see you guys later on. Take care.